Hi everybody, Shannon here. I'm going to make this video for a couple of reasons. The first one is I want to thank everybody that's donated to my GoFundMe page. I've had an overwhelming response to my GoFundMe page, especially the day that my story broke on The Guardian. The WSWS, which stands for the World Socialist Website, originally broke my story on May 8th. And then The Guardian picked it up second. And then it just went viral. I mean, super viral. So, I wanted to clear up some misconceptions that people may have or don't understand. First off, with the GoFundMe money, I'm able to get a room at Motel 6. I paid for a week because my legs are swelling up from the heat, from sitting in my car so much. So I had to get out of the heat and be able to stretch my legs out straight, take a bath, wash my hair, and just feel human again. So that's where some of the money is going. Second thing is, a lot of y'all have asked, why don't I go get another job? Because I'm still currently employed at Amazon. I am on medical leave with no pay. No pay from Amazon, no pay from workers' compensation. My workers' compensation claim is currently in litigation. So now I am off work pending doctor notification from Amazon with no pay. This has been going on basically since April 23rd. Now, I have my notes here, and I have all my doctor's notes that I'm going to show y'all. Okay, the first thing is, y'all are wondering how come I can't make it on $13.50 an hour. Amazon base pay is $12 an hour. Well, it is here in Haslett, Texas. I chose nights and weekends because you got an extra $1. An extra 50 cents for nights and an extra 50 cents for weekends. So that brought it up to $13 an hour. I've been at Amazon for over a year, and I've gotten 2 quarter raises. Okay? Now, on April 23rd, I went to a new doctor. Number one, because I wanted a second opinion, because the doctor that I had before was at a clinic, and I saw a new doctor each time I went in. Okay, I wanted a new permanent doctor. So this was my first time to switch doctors. And when I went into Amazon on April the 18th, I had a restriction which was no stooping or bending up to 2 hours. Well, Amazon didn't know what to do with me. They didn't know if they should work me 2 hours and what to do with the other 8 hours. They just didn't know. So I went back to the doctor the same day to this clinic, and that is in network through Sedgwick. And so I went back to the doctor on the 18th as soon as I left Amazon, and I needed an update status report. I went in, the doctor came in, and she says, "Now, what can I do for you?" just like that. And I'm sitting on the table and I'm like, I need an updated status report because Amazon doesn't know what to do with me as far as putting me on light duty, letting me still do my same job for 2 hours and hang out the other 8 hours, or what. They don't know what to do with me. And she says, okay, what I need for you to do is I need for you to get up and walk across the room. And I'm like, okay. So I got off the table, stepped on the little stool, got down onto the floor, and walked across the room. And she says, okay, I need for you to bend over and touch your toes. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I said, my back hurts. And she said, okay, well, I need for you to twist from side to side. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that either. Now, the whole time, she's sitting there with her head all cocked over and just kind of like this, no lie. And I said, look, my back is injured. I said, if you would have had my file in front of you, you would have known that. But you came in here without my file, so you don't even know what's wrong with me. And then she excused herself and left the room. She came back with an office worker, and the office lady had my file. And she goes, okay, Miss Allen, I need for you to get up and walk across the room. We're going to do a few exercises. And I just was like, what? And I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, why don't you talk to me like you were talking to me a while ago with your head all cocked? And she just looked at me. And I looked at the office worker and I said, yes, ma'am. I said, she was rather rude to me. And she goes, well, she needs to perform some exercises so she can determine your status. And I said, but she wants me to do exercises that I cannot do. I cannot bend over. I said, I have a back injury. And she said, okay. And they excused themselves and they left. And they came back in about 15 or 20 minutes later. And she says, okay, Miss Allen, we are going to go ahead and release you. And I said, to go back to work full duty? And she said, no, as a patient. And I said, what? So I got on the phone and I called Sedgwick. I called my adjuster, and he helped me find another doctor. He suggested I find another doctor immediately and he would help me. He sent me a list of doctors. No, I don't have that printed out, but it is on my email. He sent me a list of doctors that were in network for Sedgwick. So I found a doctor. This was April the 18th. So I found a doctor for the 23rd. Okay. Now, on April the 19th, the day after they dismissed me, hold on, I'm trying to find the paper. Just give me a second. I have it here. On the 19th, they ordered, actually it was before that, but my MRI was scheduled on the 19th, the next day, by the doctor who dismissed me. Okay? Now, if I look away, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to look at these papers. Okay. I went to my MRI appointment on the 19th of April. That is this paper right here from Envision. On the 20th, I got my results back, and it still showed the injury on my back, and it also showed that I had an underlying condition that I had no idea that I had. That was all new to me. As far as I knew, I was a healthy 49-year-old female with no known health problems whatsoever. So, then on April 23rd, I went to the new doctor. This is the only time that I switched. And hold on, let me cover this up so I don't get in trouble somehow, because I'm sure it will come back to me. This is my paper from the doctor, okay? You can see that he took me off work. This is 4/23. And down here, he took me off work till 5/22. Well, 5/22 was on a Tuesday, and I went back to work, and I couldn't clock in because the leave of absence team, which they regularly do this, did not lift my badge where I could clock in and where I could scan into my computer. So I wasn't able to work. So I went back on that Saturday, because I worked Saturday through Tuesday, which was the 26th. So here is the date, 4/23, right there, okay, till May 26th. On 5/4, which was a little over a week and a half after this doctor, the new doctor, diagnosed me with a back injury and took me off work for a month, I get a letter from them stating that they sided, I'm not going to say the doctor's name, that they sided with the peer review group that was outsourced by Sedgwick, the workers' comp people, stating that I was not injured anymore. This was after he diagnosed me. He felt my back. He felt the bulging disc. He felt the injury. He took me off work for a month. And then on 4/30/2018, right here, see that? 4/30/2018, this peer review group took all my medical records except for the ones from Mr. New Doctor, and decided that I was not injured anymore. Just from looking at my medical records and the incident that I had with the last doctor, and they didn't even take into the account the new doctor, okay? So on 5/4, the new doctor sent me an email telling me that they sided with the peer review group and I wasn't injured anymore. All of a sudden, boom, I'm healed. But I still am injured. So from 4/23 up until today, August the 4th, I have not been seen by a doctor at all, except for one doctor, and that was the state doctor that I went to on July the 26th, and we are awaiting his results. That's why, number one, I have not been paid. Number two, my medical leave determines if I get paid or not. Amazon's short-term disability only pays $25 a week. Yes, I said a week. The $25 a week is to cover the cost of my medical, dental, and vision that normally comes out of my check. So $50 every 2 weeks, less those three things, is what I get from Amazon. Sometimes my check from Amazon is $21. Sometimes it's like $34, depending on the week. So, now, I wanted to show y'all something else also. I'm sorry that I keep turning my head. I know it doesn't look like I'm looking at the camera, but I'm looking at my phone. And because it's hard to stare up here at a little hole. I wanted to show y'all these papers. I was injured right there, 10/24. Amazon never once mentioned workers' compensation to me. Like I said, I'm 49 years old and I have never been injured at work ever a day in my life. I didn't even know what workers' compensation was. Finally, on the 11th, hold on, let me see if I can do that better. The 11th, 11/12/2017. I'm sorry, not the 11th. The 12th of November is when I actually went on workers' comp because Amazon tried to keep me working there and minimize my injury for 3 weeks. Every day I went into work, I sat on a heating pad for 15 to 20 minutes. I did a little bit of work and I went right back to AmCare and sat on the heating pad again. And finally, they just VTO'd me every day because I could not work until finally I said, hey, y'all got workers' comp, right? Aren't y'all supposed to offer me workers' comp if I'm injured? And he's like, oh, yeah, okay. And then next thing you know, they're calling senior ops down to AmCare because I'm filing workers' comp. And I ended up going on workers' comp. Now, I worked for about, when I came back on May 26th, I worked for about an hour, hour and a half, sometimes not even that, to just try to get some money, even if it was an hour. Because I'm driving 30 miles to work and 30 miles home. And I don't drive a brand new car. I drive a car that's 21 years old. Okay? And it's a V8. So I do not get good gas mileage. And for the longest time, one of the spark plugs was out and I had to pay to get that fixed also, just so I could get better gas mileage. It was just eating my gas up. So, like I said, I sat home for over a month with no pay, and then Sedgwick cut me off. I couldn't go back to the doctor, so I just sat home because Amazon would not let me come back to work without an updated doctor's report. Well, then I went back to work on July 2nd. 2 weeks previous to that, I took a 2-week leave of absence, a personal leave of absence, because I literally could not afford to drive to work and back. I didn't have the gas. So I went back to work on July 2nd. And when I went back to work, they called me into the office. And they were like, we don't know really what to do with you as far as work goes, because you're not working very many hours. You're still saying that you have a back injury and you're waiting on the state doctor appointment. And I said, well, yeah, you're right. So they said, we're going to go ahead and give you a week off. And this is on July 2nd. And I said, no, I'm not taking a week off. I said, I just came back from a 2-week leave of absence. I said, I need the money. I need to work. Even if I don't make rate, I need to work. I need to be here. And they said, no, 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 you don't understand. We're going to give you a week off paid. And then you can just go home and relax. You can hear from your attorney or converse with him. Then you can get with the doctor. And I said, go home? I said, I am home. I said, because of y'all taking me off workers' comp and me going back on workers' comp, I said, y'all have cost me my RV. I rented the RV. I did not own it. No, the rent wasn't expensive. But when you get behind one time, it's hard to catch up. And anybody who's been in this situation knows what I'm talking about. And because of the on again, off again with workers' comp, that's how I got behind. My workers' comp checks were $211 a week. That's it. It wasn't a full 40-hour week at $13.50 an hour. That's not how workers' comp works. They pay you 60 to 70% of your base pay. Base pay. The base pay at Amazon is $12 an hour. Okay? So, that's how I got behind in rent, because the workers' comp was not very much. The month of September, I took medical leave in September because I had my mouth operated on. So when they figured up the workers' comp, they included the month of September when I was not at work. That's why my workers' comp checks were only $211 a week. So I was getting $422 every 2 weeks. Okay? Well, I was already behind because when I started workers' comp and went on leave, I told y'all Amazon only pays $25 a week for short-term disability. And then workers' comp, it took them a minute to catch up. Like several weeks to catch up. And then I got behind. And then when I got my checks, they started coming in one at a time. I kept in touch with the office at the RV park constantly. They knew I was on workers' comp. They had copies of all my papers. And I stayed in constant contact with them. And then every month, the rent would come up. And every time I got paid from Sedgwick, I would give the RV park $100 or $200. And then I would keep $200 because I told y'all I drive a V8 car, not a truck, a car that's 21 years old, driving 60 miles round trip 4 days a week. So it was sucking the gas. I had to pay for my phone, and I have to have a phone. Amazon only communicates by email. It's rare that they call you for anything. Okay? So I had to pay my phone. I had to pay my car insurance. And I was paying as much as I could on my rent. Well, then they stopped my workers' comp and released me to go back to work. I went back on workers' comp again, and then I had to wait for those checks to come in. And I was already so far behind in rent that I just could not catch up. That's when I started the GoFundMe page. the first $500 I received on GoFundMe, I paid towards my rent. Well, that wasn't good enough. They wanted all the money. So on June the 1st, they asked me if I would write a statement out saying that I would pay something every 2 weeks until I got caught up. Well, I was thinking that I was going to take the buyout when I came back off of leave. Okay? Thinking. And then I could pay up the rent, and then I could do whatever I wanted to with the rest of the money. Pay my rent ahead or move or whatever. Okay. Now, on July 1st, I wrote the letter to the RV park. She accepted the letter. It stated that I would pay every 2 weeks until I was caught up. So on June the 15th, when I got paid, I paid them. Just like the letter stated, I paid them. My check was $203. I paid her $50 because I needed gas. I needed to pay my phone. I needed to buy groceries, which was not a lot. And I mean, I was living skimpy. And so anyway, on June 15th, I paid them. On June 26th, I was served with an eviction notice. Even though I kept up my end of the bargain, I paid her 2 weeks after I wrote that note. And they evicted me anyway. And then that led me up to July 2nd when I actually became homeless. Now, I was trying to see if there was anything else. I'm sorry that I keep looking down. I was trying to see if there was anything else that I needed to tell y'all, because I know that y'all had a lot of questions and y'all were wondering, why can't I make it on $13.50 an hour? Well, this is the fiasco I've been dealing with Amazon and Sedgwick since the get-go. They've minimized my injury as much as possible. They never told me about workers' comp until 3 weeks after my injury. The doctor stated it was a 6-week injury. 3 weeks into my injury, he stated it was a 6-week injury. 6 months after my injury, it showed up on the MRI. So if it was a 6-week injury, why is it showing up on an MRI 6 months later? It has caused me to have bulging disc in my neck, T1 through T3, and T7 through T12. I also have bulging disc in my hip and in my back. Now, they also stated in here that I have an underlying condition which I did not know that I had. It says, there is an irregularity of end plates involving multiple mid to lower thoracic vertebral bodies consistent with areas of Schmorl's node formation. Mild left paracentral posterior spurring and disc bulge T3, T4, mild disc bulges T7, T8, T8, T9, T9, T10, and T11, T12. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. And I just hope that this clears up any type of misconception that people may have about me. And if y'all have any questions, put them in the comments. I'd be glad to answer them. Thank y'all and have a great night. I didn't mean for this video to be so long, but I wanted to explain everything. Oh, and one more thing. Alex Jones, I'm not an ex-Amazon employee. I'm a current Amazon employee, and you need to fix that.